All right, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We would like to ask you to, if you're here and you'd like to check in with us over in the comments section. I see a number of you are doing that already, so it's good to have folks from all over the United States and Canada here with us today. Also with us is Josh Bloom. Josh is the program manager for Blue Card and the project manager on this after action review module that we're going to roll out today is Eric Phillips. So welcome to Eric and Josh. Just a couple of announcements. Today's webinar will be around 45 minutes long. At the end, we will have questions. So over there in the comment section where folks are checking in is also the place to put your questions. So if you have questions for Eric or Josh during this presentation, please put them there and I'll come back and moderate those comments afterwards. A few other announcements too is next year's conference has been announced. We have a date for that. So if you'd like to attend the conference, it's going to be September 30th through October 3rd, 2025. If you're one of the fortunate folks to make it out this year, you know that we had about 600 folks there, which was a really good crowd. We're promising even a better slate next year, along with some pre-conference activities. So we'll get that information out as soon as we can. Also, classes are booking up. We are about sold out for 2024, any classes and workshops. However, we are booking up for 2025. If you want to host a workshop locally, contact Josh. His email is right there, josh@bshifter.com, and he can work with you on that. We also have the dates posted at bshifter.com for our Train the Trainers. We're going to be in Edmond, Oklahoma, January 6th through the 10th. At the Phoenix Allen V. Brunacini CTC, January 13th through 17th, and Phoenix at the AVB CTC, February 10th through 14th, Phoenix at the AVB CTC, March 17th and 21st, and dates run out through the rest of the year. So get on bshifter.com and check those dates. I believe our big box workshops are all spoken for. Is that correct, Josh?
Yes, yeah, they're all five of them are spoken for now. So yeah.
Okay. So if you didn't get those booked yet, well, maybe one of the ones coming to your area, you can get involved in that. But if you want to host one of the other workshops, Mayday workshop, strategic decision making, and so on, contact Josh and he can hook that up for you. At the conference this year, we rolled out our brand new after action review module that is available to Blue Card instructors only. And today, to talk about that and to really just scratch the surface on how that module works, Eric and Josh are going to walk us through that. So I'll toss it over to Josh. And thanks for being here, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks for everybody for jumping on today. As always, if you guys got anything, reach out anytime to Eric or I. I'd be remiss if I didn't say and give some credit here to Chris Stewart, our professor. I think he's on an airplane right now, flying home from somewhere, but he's played a huge part in really Command Function 7 of us fixing and reviewing what we're building as the after action reporting system. And then thanks to all of those people who were part of the initial test module and all your feedback and the information you gave, and Gary Fleischer for trying to break the system, but he was unsuccessful. So we're happy about that. So this is like a project many years in the making, but with focus in like the last 18 months. So we rolled out this program at the conference this year, and we're getting a lot of users on there already, and we're getting a lot of good feedback. I think there's a lot of good information in it. So we continue to build and refine this just as we do anything and everything else that we do. And Eric Phillips, as he does with everything, tirelessly is engaged with this every single day of trying to make it better, because he himself lives in that state of we can always do better. And sometimes I challenge him back to we have a version, and we'll have another version and another version. So let's leave it lay, and we'll continue to refine it, but we don't have to fix it every single day. And when I say fix it, the idea fairy sometimes shows up and it's like, we should do this and we should do that and we should do everything. And it's a good problem to have, because that means people out there are connecting to it and using it. So we believe that this will help organizations to improve how they perform on the fire ground in all kinds of aspects when it comes to incident command and decision making. And we've already had a few fire departments reach out to us and say, "Wow, we were not doing as good as we thought we were doing after we really dove into it and look at some of the incidents that they've entered into the program." So, Eric, uh, take it away with that.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks again to that small test group and everyone that's provided input. Without you guys, we wouldn't be where we are today with some of the new features that we'll show you today. So we're thankful for those that definitely took the time to review it and give those suggestions. So, all right, let's get started, JB. Let's put that up there. So I think when we talk about after action review, we got to think about how we improving behavior performance on the fire ground. And we do that by one call out at a time. I think most often we think about an after action as this type of review we do when incidents normally don't go very well. And I think we need a change in the fire service to the way that we look at that. And I challenge everybody on the webinar to think about, what if you evaluated all the small calls? Every time that you have a working fire or you're doing a testing scenario, or you're in the CTC, if you kind of did an after action on that small fire, how would the larger incidents go? I think we identify a lot of problems every day on the fire ground, but really, what are we doing to correct those? So I think that's one way that we're looking at this after action, is that it should be done often on the fire ground as we move through. So a couple questions to ask yourself is, how do you measure success on the fire ground? Within your organization right now, are you able to tell us how are you succeeding, or what's your success on the fire ground? The other question that we kind of like to say and mention is, you can't manage something you can't measure. Think about those two questions right there. I think after this after action, you'll be able to answer yes, you're doing both of those. You're managing it and you're making improvements based on the criteria that you've evaluated. So one way that we do that is the continuous improvement model here. You can see it on the screen. There's a lot of boxes here, but I want you to pay particular attention to the green boxes. Those are the 4 steps that you need to do, that we recommend doing, that if you want to have a successful after action program, you follow these steps in order. The white boxes are the things that you should be doing to meet those expectations in the green box. So let's start with the green box. First, you got to communicate the expectation. The training division, the fire chief, the off chief's got to say, hey, we are doing Blue Card Incident Command, the 8 functions of command. That's what we're doing. That's our incident command system. The second box to the right of the green is that you have to train to those expectations. So we do that with our folks. We send them through an online class. We send them through a 3-day CERT lab. We do CEs with them, the research progress. So you do a lot of training to meet that expectation that was communicated. Drop down to monitor performance. That's what we're specifically going to be talking about today, is how do we monitor the performance based on the training and the expectation that's been committed to the department. Our departments and folks are spending a lot of time, money, and energy training our people. Now, what we lack in often is, how are we really doing based on all that time, money, and energy that we're training our folks with? How are we actually doing on the fire ground? So that's where the after action comes in. That last green box you see there on the left lower corner, hold people accountable. Now, no means am I saying that a pen and paper should be taken out and people should get written up over this. But I do believe that if we're monitoring performance and we have those conversations with our folks and they can look at themselves and do some self-reflection, we tend to hold ourselves more accountable than not having any type of monitoring KPIs at all that we're having. So that hold people accountable is to give officers, and when I say officers, captains, and chiefs, the ability to hold these tough conversations and be able to truly change that behavior of performance on the fire ground based off of this model. If you don't do this model, those green boxes, you're gonna run into problems somewhere. Now, those white boxes are all the things that you should be doing to meet the goal within the green box there. So let's move slides here. So we're always building everything on the fire ground within organizations to address the NIOSH top 5. And you guys are all been through the Blue Card system. You know that we look at these 5 things in detail and we're constantly always addressing them. But I think we all can agree that within our organization, there are things within the NIOSH top 5 that we can probably improve on. And I say probably improve on because right now we don't have a lot of data of where in our organizations do we need to improve to address this NIOSH top 5. When you use this after action and you do it on multiple times a month, depending on the size of your organization, you're going to start to address where does your training need to happen? Which areas can we improve on, whether it's SOPs, whether it's training, accountability. We have SOPs, but we're just not following them. We have no accountability system, or we have pass tags, but they just stay in the rig. We don't know how to do a risk assessment. We start to identify those things because now we're actually monitoring how we're doing on every call. Let's bump slides. So the question we get asked all the time when you implement training in the organization is, we put all these folks through the training, and then we don't get the result on the fireground like we had in the CTC or training lab. So it always comes down to two questions for me. Is it a system problem or is it a training issue? And all of the training that we've done in implementation and talking to folks, and even within our own organization, people want to blame the system, that the system's not right or it doesn't work for us for ABC reason. When truly, when you actually break it down, it becomes a training issue. And what I mean by that is we don't understand the 4 times to get on the radio. We don't understand what we need to communicate in a follow-up report because we just did it once and never talked about it. We talk about accountability, but we really don't know how to implement the pass tags. Division bosses, we say we know how to do it, but we really don't give them any responsibilities. The system as it lies is solid. Now it gets updated through the years to the Blue Card program, and it's going to continue to get updated with best practice moving forward. But right now, this is the question. When you identify a problem within your organization through the after action, you need to ask yourself this: is it a system problem or is it a training issue? Most likely, I'm going to say it's a training issue. So we have 2 goals for the after action program, things that we live and die by when we think about changes and what we want to do for this. Is it has to be firefighter friendly, meaning it has to be easy to use, and it needs to reinforce good behavior and improve bad behavior. You know, behavior is kind of one of those words that can mean a lot to different things. I think we probably should call it reinforce good performance, improve bad performance on the fireground, because that's truly what we're measuring here, is the performance of how are we operating on the fireground. So if we keep those 2 things in mind moving forward as we look at this program and try to make improvements to it, those are the 2 goals that we're keeping in mind for it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share the after action program with you, and we'll talk about a few things. There's been some updates that have been done since we rolled it out in Cincinnati, and let's just talk about those and see what some of those are. Can you see my screen there?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. So this is, it's on the left-hand side of the page under incident reports is what you will see on your dashboard here. I'm under the Blue Card Fire Department here. This is where we test the system and input calls. You can see all the information that it's going to give on the screen. Some of the new things that are added on this that was not there last time is this finalized column. Finalized means that when you're done with the event, meaning that you're finished with it, you can finalize it, which locks it. And that gives the ability to realize what calls need to be worked on and what calls happen. That also will relay over to when you mine the data out of the program that you're getting good data out of the program because the call is finalized and locked. Very similar like we lock any EMS or fire report in any reporting system that you have. Over on the right side of the screen, you're going to see a pencil, a little TV, and a trash can. The pencil is what we're going to call where you input the data that the evaluator will come in and use. This little TV is the presenter mode. Presenter mode is what you would email out to your folks so you can share the after action with them and they can listen to the audio, listen to the video, or watch the video. And then, of course, a trash can. If you want to get rid of the call, you just get rid of it. So let's dive into this one that we're going to use here for this webinar today. So this is a call that we ran in our department here. When you come to the first screen, obviously you're not going to have all these reports on the left because you'll make those up as you go through the call. But this is the incident page. You're going to input all the data, CAD information, if you will, for your department. You can enter your battalions within your organization. You change those as you need through an edit option. Shift types, you would edit it once an instructor for your organization puts that in. It's there for the life of the after action for everybody. If you have different fire responses, you can put those in there. The reason that you want to put this information in here is this is how you're going to mine data out of the program. And I'll talk about the mining data part at the very end. You also come down here, select the residential type. Again, we want that for the data. You can type in things from dispatch. You're going to see that it has several areas for PDF files. This one is just a generic PDF upload. For example, right now I put in here an accountability SOP because within our organization, we need to improve on our accountability with the use of pass tags. So if we had a problem within this fire call, you can put an SOP in here to remind folks, hey, this is what our SOP is. We might need to think about it. Your CAD notes or dispatch notes, if you have those, you can upload those in a PDF form. So you might help you with the after action of what was typed in the computer or said from dispatch at the time. And then the last thing you can upload is your tracking worksheet. Here's just a sample of a tracking worksheet for this call. You can upload that if you use tablet command. It has an email feature as well that you can print off or email and then put in a PDF form and upload that in the tracking worksheet. All this information here that we're putting in here, again, is just to improve performance on the fireground and remind people, maybe we can do better. Maybe we did really good. I'm not sure, but let's just review a few things. When we get into talking about audio, audio is different for every department around the country. Some departments get 911 audio separate than the dispatch audio from the fireground channel. Some departments get it all at once. Some don't get it at all. So we've tried to build a program to match, 3,000 to 4,000 different blue card fire departments that we currently have, trying to make it work for everybody. So some of these things you're going to use and some of them you're not going to use. If you're a department that gets 911 audio separate file from your fireground channels, then you would just come in here and upload your 911 dispatch audio. Once you upload it, you'll see that there's a time that changes right here that indicates that you've uploaded 911 audio. I'll just play it. Now, obviously, that's not 911 audio. It's just an audio clip to illustrate that you would upload it and you can play just the 911 audio. When we talk about dispatch audio or fireground audio, you would upload this file right here. We accept two different types of audio files, a WAV file and an MP3 file. WAV files tend to cause us some problems. It's not as user-friendly as an MP3 file. So although this will take a WAV file, you will have better luck and better success if you are able to convert that to an MP3 file. So we recommend an MP3 file. It's not necessary. There's free conversion programs out there. If you need the one that we've been using and messing with, feel free we'll give that to you and you can convert that on your own. Either way, you'll go ahead and upload a file, audio file there, and you'll know that the file is uploaded when you see these pink squiggly lines here. This is all of the radio traffic for this fire call. One thing that I want to point out through the whole program is you're going to see areas that it has these question marks right here. Anytime that you see that, if you're questioning, hey, what do I do here? These are some little tips and tricks that you want to read that will provide you how to use it. So this one is if you're using a PC or Mac, there's different command keys that you would use to be able to splice the audio. So by hovering over the question mark, it will tell you what to do. When you're talking about zooming in and out of a call, first thing you do is you have to put your cursor in the field. And then if I hover over this, I'm using a Mac, so I'm going to use the command key. I can scroll in and out with my mouse to get the appropriate location of where I want to start splicing the audio. I recommend somewhere around in here as far as zooming in. So you see breaks in radio traffic. That way, when I'm splicing the audio, I'm able to see where the break is in the traffic, and it's a little easier to splice that small radio clip. Anywhere in the program that you see a little box right here that says audio clipping tutorial, or you see a tutorial at the top of the page, go ahead and click on that. That'll take you to our YouTube channel. It'll give you a little short video on how to fill out the page or some tips and tricks for clipping the audio and help you through that process. Now, with anything new, I'm telling you, it takes a second to get used to, but it's 3 clicks to splice audio. It's a start and a stop. So not 3, it's actually 2 to do that. It's that easy, but it does take a half a second to figure it out and mess with it for you to get comfortable with it. Once you get comfortable with it, you'll figure out really quick that you can get through a call relatively easily once you get used to it. Other thing that we've done is you're able to upload fire pictures or scene pictures, whatever pictures you want, up to 6 pictures right now, 10 megabytes for that picture. For this call, this is the incident of the house just from Google Maps of the fire that we're going to listen to today and review. So that is one. You can upload fire pictures, map pictures, whatever you think will help you do the after action when it's in presenter mode. You can upload those pictures right there. One thing that you do want to do is if you upload a lot of files, I would suggest after you upload a PDF, just come down here and click save. Upload an audio, click save, and do one at a time. If you try to come through here and do it all at once, sometimes you do get an error mode because the size of the file is so big that it can give you an error at times to do that. We have upped the limit when you do click save, but just a little suggestion, I would just click save more often than not as you're on this initial page uploading all this radio traffic and these files and pictures at the same time. So moving on here, you're going to see an add new report button over here on the bottom. Remember that none of these on the timeline on the left side will be there. It'll just say incident right here and then the incident number, which we just called the hazard zone conference call. So you click new incident report, and the first one, when you do that, you're going to get a choices to do this. You're going to choose the report. Here's all of the breakdown of the small radio traffic reports that we teach in Blue Card. From initial radio report, follow-up, assigning units, transfer of command, priority traffic, status changes, strategic shifts, Mayday. One of the new boxes reports that we did is a lesson learned page from a suggestion from one of our users. When you click on that, it'll give you a free text box. You're able to type in there some lessons learned that you want to review with your folks at the end of the after action. Now you have a free text form there. So for this one, we would choose initial radio report. And when I do that, it's going to pop up our radio traffic right here. Again, if you have a tutorial video for this page to give you some help if you need it, and also the radio clipping there if you want to review it. One thing to note is that when you see this reference name right here, you can put whatever you would like right there. Typically, you're going to put the unit that's giving the initial radio report. So if I type in engine 4, you're going to see engine 4 pop up right over here. So if you have a bunch of unit assignments, whatever those indicators or unit names are, you'll be able to see, okay, this was a unit assignment for Rescue 4. It's because you typed it in this reference area right here. This is where you're going to splice in the audio and start that process. So we would zoom in to where we want. Again, little spaces, bring it back to the beginning. This call starts with the initial radio report. So I would simply go ahead and use my shortcut key. I click it, I can push play.
Sorry, how?
So then I use my shortcut key. I'm not going to bore you with the whole initial radio report, but that's literally 2 clicks of the mouse, and I have this clip of the mouse button right here. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. If you are splicing the audio and you're like, you know what, I need it just to start way up here, I just simply click and drop and drag where I want my start clip to start, and I can extend or retract the end as well. So once you have the radio clip, you listen to it, you can then you can move this up and down depending on where you want it to start. The other thing that if you read this little question mark there, if you double click inside of the radio clip,
Eric, the audio is not working, coming through like your speakers are.
what's that?
It's not feeding through the system. It's like it's reading off your speakers or something. The audio.
Okay. All right. I'm not quite sure how to fix that. Is it all right if we just turn it down a little bit then?
Sure, you can just keep going with that, and I think people will get the gist of it.
Okay, so when you double click in, it just plays it back in loop mode or playback mode. And what that does is when you have the initial radio report, I would double click in here and it's going to play it back. And then that allows you to fill out the report as you're listening to the traffic and going down. So in playback mode, it'll play it back 4, 5, 6 times, whatever, until you stop it, which will give you the ability to fill out the initial radar report. Moving down, we've added a few things, and when we show this out is we want to know the rank or the person giving the initial radar report. The reason that is this is just going to give you some data of, captains, chiefs, write-ups, engineers, firefighter, medics, who's given that initial radar report, just so you might know where you need to start diving into training to improve the initial radar reports. Some departments will. What's that,
Eric? So one thing on that, the reason we put that in there is a lot of organizations are trying to figure out what does it really look like and who do we train when to be write-ups. So if you're going to ride into the position, you should be trained to the same level as the person that normally fills that position. So we put that in there so you can, when you're mining data out, you can kind of look at that. Well, we have a shortfall in people who are riding up maybe, and that's a problem. And also when we look at past events, oftentimes many of those positions are backfilled overtime or ride up positions when things don't go so well. So it's just another piece so we can mine the data out easier, or you all can mine the data out easier.
Awesome, thanks. So the other thing we've added in here is the name of the person giving the report. Now this is all optional. If you don't fill this out, it's not graded. It doesn't matter. It won't show up on the report. But we've had departments that want to know the name of the officer or person giving the report. Let's say that somebody's on probation, and I'm Captain Phillips. I'm on probation on Engine 4, and you want to know how many initial radar reports I've done during my probationary period, and you want to listen to them and see how I'm doing. You now will be able to mine the data out by my name compared to just Engine 4, because I might be on Engine 4 one day, I might be on a callback or a trade or a different station rove, and I might be on Engine 6 that day. So now you can mine all of the reports that Eric has done because I put the name on there. If you don't use it, don't use it. It doesn't have any effect on the program at all. Where you see things that are graded, you're going to come down here, clearing the traffic or clearing the channel, preface the radio. You're going to start filling out. Now, these are the things that we train and we expect from our folks based on the expectation, based on the training that was provided to them. Now we have to start monitoring their performance on the fireground, whether we're doing good or bad. So this is some drop downs. You're going to see if it's red, you didn't do any of it. If it's yellow, you cleared the channel, but you didn't say dispatch from Engine 4 with an initial radar report. So that would be yellow, meaning it's a warning. Red, yellow, and green, I think everybody understands those things. Red, obviously you didn't do something. If you select green, you did good. Yellow is like, hey, you did all right, but we can maybe improve just a little bit, right? We can probably do better on it, right? We cleared the channel, but we didn't tell them we were saying initial radar report with it. So that's what a yellow means. As you come down here, you'll see building size, yes or no. You can select a small, whatever building type that you state. And then you always have a free text box that you want to type something in to show up on the report. If you don't want to fill anything in the note section, you don't have to, but there will be places that you want to provide a note just to provide some clarification or something, some learning point for that individual section. Building height, same thing. Occupancy breaks down into our residential. So down here we say is on the scene of a house. So I would type in house down here on the occupancy type. Conditions, again, you can see nothing showing, our standard conditions. You will, in almost all areas, you'll have a place for other. So if something's those weird calls that just don't fit into the box, you can always click other and then type in here whatever you want to. Whoops, I can't even spell. Best fire of my life, whatever, right? So standard conditions. Same going down. Everything is here that we teach in the classes. You will see under IAPs that you can select options. So if we're getting a supply line, I can choose other things. We're getting a supply line, we're stretching a hand line, and we're doing a quick hit. Whatever's set over the radio, you can type in multiple things. If I want to take something out, you just click it and take it out, but you can select multiple things that you're doing. And so on. So I think you guys get the hint of filling these things out and the options that are provided there. Strategy, obviously you said it or didn't say it. The other thing that we have put in all of our slides or all of our reports is the ability to provide video footage. This is an ever-changing goalpost right there, but the thing to remember is that the video that you upload into the system is not stored on the Blue Card platform. we don't want access to it. It's a link that you'll provide, and the video stays on your computer or your platform, wherever that video is stored, for you to see. All this is a link. So when you're in presenter mode, you click on this little icon right here, and that will take you to the link wherever it's provided. Now, that video footage can be helmet cam footage. It can be video footage from the battalion chief or district chief's vehicle. It can be tick footage. So let me go up to a call. Let me just click save here. I'll show you one other thing.
Eric, real quick. So something else on that with the video stuff is we have so much good video footage now that you can, type in an address or type in a region from a bystander to have, even pre-arrival stuff. So a few fires just in the last 2 weeks that we've reviewed and looked at with some people, they had excellent footage from bystanders that they just pulled off of YouTube, so that you're listening to this, but you can also see what it looked like before and when the companies arrived to the incident. So there's great value in that.
Awesome. Good point there. All right. So when we click save, it brings us initial raid report. Any report you do drops to the bottom. Hopefully you're doing the call in a sequentially order of things happened on the fire ground. But if it didn't, let's just say initial raid report comes to the bottom. All I need to do is drop and drag it up, and I can move it around wherever I want it to fit. So as you're doing this, it goes in order of the call that the way that the call actually happened. So this radar report is just an example. So I'll just bring it down to the bottom, and we won't mess with it after there. So here's one that we filled out. This is an actual call for us. So it was for engine 4. Here's the short radio clip. Since I've already clipped it, I just pushed play. I'm not going to, the sound must be bad, it sounds like, but this is that short initial radar report that you heard. Captain Phillips gave the initial radar report. Did good on the, I got a yellow there. Cleared the channel, but did not preference the radio. So when you listen to it, I called dispatch. They said, go ahead. And then I said, engine 4 on scene with initial radar report. So it's just a yellow. We can improve on that because we should say that initially when we contact dispatch. You can see we're on scene of a small 1-story residential. We just call it a house. We have a working fire in the Alpha Bravo corner. This is yellow because we should say what floor. Although I said it was a 1-story house, this could cause a problem when we get to multi-story structures. So it's just one of those things like, hey, we got a working fire on the 1st floor, Alpha Bravo corner. It rebuilds that. So when we get those fires that aren't normal, we're communicating everything properly that we should. So it's just yellow. Just something to think about. Maybe we can do better. We're stretching lines. We communicated, this is yellow as well for IAP under location. We communicated the side or floor, but not both. So I said that we were going to the Alpha side, but what floor? Understood it's a 1-story house, but we want to form those good habits, right? So it's just things that you can think of that people will self-reflect on and see if they can do better. We're doing fire control and primary search, off-zone strategy, hold the assignment, and we name command. You put in here's some video. So you can watch the video of what the conditions were when engine 4 showed up. So you can see there as we're saying, well, why did you do ABC on a call? This now gives us the ability to see that video. This is why I did what we did. So that's just one example of initial raid report. You would do that for all of your assigned in the units. Here's the short audio clip for engine 201. If we play that audio, and I apologize, the audio is not smooth, but it will play just the task location objective of signing engine 201. When I look down here, here's some more data that we just want to mine out of the system. The unit receiving the assignment was an engine, and it was 201. We want to see maybe we can improve task location objective with truck companies or rescues or engines, whatever we're assigning. We want to be able to start to mine that data to see where can we actually do better on the fire ground. Again, task location objective. Ask them to share water with engine 4 and forcible entry. One thing to keep in mind here is that we got a fail grade because I didn't tell them where to start communicate or where to start forcing entry on this house. It had all bars on the windows, but where did I want them to start specifically? Because you could see some guys on my crew starting to force entry on those gates versus the front door. So again, we could do better because we want to give them a location of where we want to start this off. One other thing that you'll see on reports is, did we use the order model correctly? Are we actually taking the time to do the order model correctly and assume and make sure that our communication is understood and repeated back to us? So this is an indicator if we need to improve on the order model. The other one that you will see on all slides after the initial radio report is a low air alarm sounding during the radio transmission. If you hear one sounding, this would be red. Red is bad. That means you're not doing air management and somebody has a 5 alert or low air alarm sounding during the incident. We know that air management in the fire service, we all probably need to improve on. So now we're actually going to start gathering the data of how many times during a radio transmission do we hear the low air alarm sounding during that. The reason that this is important, we mine this data out when you go to talk to your crews or you hold training with your organization and say, hey, we need to practice air management. We're not doing very well. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that most of your people inside of your organization are going to say, we don't have a problem with that. No, I'm good. Well, now if I conduct some training and I tell you, hey, 35% of the time we are hearing low air alarm sound during the fire, this is a problem. Now people are like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't realize that's such a problem. I did it once, but I don't do it all the time. So now they think it's everybody else. So now you're able to actually tell them with data if running out of air or low air in a building is a problem for your organization. So again, you can upload a quick video of what this was looking like at the time I gave the assignment, and you would do that for all of the traffic. Follow-up report, same thing, short audio clip. You guys are starting to get the hint of the questions that are being asked and things that you would grade. I think that the biggest deal with this is that when you're performing this follow-up of really what conditions were we seeing? If you guys do have helmet footage, this is what was happening during the follow-up report. So one of the things my good friend Chief Eldridge pointed out the other day when we were reviewing this call is he says, oh man, on that 360, you open the door. That was good door control. Now he was being a little smart there, but what if shut that back door there and control? Having the video is a good learning opportunity to try to improve performance on the fireground. So you would be able to upload that. If you have tick footage, cameras, or most new cameras are providing pictures and or video when you do that 360. Here would be some footage of that. Oops, no, wrong one. That you would want to add during that 360. The other thing is when you're doing transfer command, the same thing. Here's the transfer command, what went good, what went bad. You can add the video footage down below. But I think in this one, we're probably going to end up adding a second video link here. So you can have the BC footage of the vehicle footage that he has seen when he gets on scene. First, what is that company officer truly doing when that transfer command takes place? And all I want to show you is that when the transfer command started to take place, my helmet was off. I was getting my mask on to go in. This is going to start identifying problems of maybe how we can have a better communication path during that transfer command, because that's a vulnerable time for IC number 1 during that command transfer. So again, being able to provide the footage is awesome. Just remember, we don't store any of the video on the Blue Card platform. That's all links that goes back to wherever you store your video. The other thing we added up here is the name of IC number 2 to be able to mine that data out of it. Now, the cool thing about putting a name under IC1 and IC1, it was Captain Phillips, transfer man was Chief Abercrombie, and this was a house fire. Remember that we said that this was a residential fire. We all have to do research hours, IC1 and IC2 for all 5 building types to maintain our certification. You now will be able to mine the data out of the program that I will be able to count this fire for IC number 1 on a residential house because it's a live incident. So your research process, the calls that you've actually been running, whether you're IC1 or IC2, if you fill this out appropriately, you'll be able to count those calls for your research process during the 3-year process there, just by putting a name under the initial radar report and the transfer command. The finalize button, when you go to finalize this, say I'm all done with all of my calls and I want to see, we want to finalize it. I would click finalize and it's going to have a pop-up box. Do you want to finalize it? Yes or no? Just know that once you finalize it, it's going to be locked and you can't modify it. So make sure that you're doing that when you click the finalize button. Now what I'm going to show you real quick is the presenter mode of the after action. So remember, we came down here and it's not finalized, right? So it's not a green check here. We go to the TV mode. This is the presenter mode. This is the one that a link will be created that you'll email out the link to your folks that they will be able to conduct training off of. This is similar to a PDF, PowerPoint, whatever you want to call it. It's just the slideshow of everything that you entered from the evaluator. One thing that's added here is you'll see color coded next to each of the assignments, red, yellow, and green. I think we all know green is good. Yellow, use some caution. We can maybe do better. And red, we probably want to improve on that. When you go to a summary page, it's going to have all of the reports that you typed in, a cumulative, with a score and then a color grade next to it. So now when we talk about, hey, what should we work on this fire? Well, roof report wasn't very well. Maybe we need to look at that report. We come over here, we can click on it, and we'll be able to hear the audio clip, and you'll be able to see what was communicated over the radio. Now on here as well, if there was a video, you can click the video and watch it just right from the screen here. So here was the video from inside helmet cam of when the truck went to the roof and cut a hole. If you had other video that you uplinked, you would be able to see it just right here on the presenter mode. Any comments that you typed in, you would see here as well, just to help explain with your folks as you're doing it. So essentially, that if you were to present this to some people, I would want to push play, and it's going to play that short clip. So I won't, audio's bad, but you play just that clip, and you might just scroll down here so they can see and hear at the same time what was said or not said based on that report. So we come back to the resort. What things are good? What things are bad? What things do we want to work on? You can tell at a glance here from the report summary. When we come to the initial radar report page or this one, remember all those PDF forms that we talked about? You just simply open those up because you've already uploaded them in the system. When you see a red icon right here, that means that there's something loaded up there. And that's what you would want to click on to do that. Same with the pictures. It's all right here in the presenter mode, and this would be what is emailed out to your folks. One last thing that I'd like to touch on before we go, we're running out of time, and I could talk about this, I think, all day long. I'm going to share the data mining. We've talked about that quite a bit, but let me just show you a couple things real quick on how to do that, because I think that's where a lot of value in this program comes from. So the first thing that we're working on is an overall state of the Blue Card Fire Department right now. Fire departments that have entered calls into the system. We're able to mine the data out, and you will do this for your individual department as well for what it looks like. This is the dashboard. This will be done in the next 2 months for your organization. You would come up here, you would be able to sort or filter out different types of events. And then you would see with these dial gauges, how is your fire department doing? Overall reports, and then broke down by individual reports for what and how your department is doing. So where do we want to train? Well, let's come down here and address some things that are close to the red. So radio traffic, priority traffic, resource assignment or condition changes, 62%. We probably want to work on that. There's obviously a disconnect between the training and what we do in the field for what we are communicating there. So this is just a quick look at being able to see where we can improve our performance on the fireground. One of the things here, we have a couple strategic shifts by some fire departments. You can see it's at 60%. Probably want to conduct some training or find out what things are in the way of why are we at 60% on our strategic shifts. So the days of bringing us in and doing training, in my opinion, on things that we're really good at, we probably want to focus on things that we can improve on and reinforce those good behaviors. On all the calls that have been assigned, we're at 84% for the Blue Card Fire Department of assigning units. So, you know, we're going to reinforce that good behavior, but we're going to kind of look at some of this other things that we can improve our performance on through this metric right here. That's going to be coming up, that dashboard, in the next 2 months. Let me show you what's open right now that you are able to use.
So all this data mining stuff that we're doing, we're working with people who mess with and analyze data every single day of their life. That's the world they live in, to help us better understand the metrics and what do we look at and what don't we look at and all of that. They don't need to know anything about the fire department. It's about analyzing data. So we want that tool to be very helpful to everybody to do just what Eric said, as far as where do we need to work and where do we need to reinforce what we already do pretty well.
Yeah, while we're there, we do have a question here from Robert Foreman. He said,
Okay.
I'm interested in learning more about the data mining and analytical side of things. Also, does uploading audio, pictures, etc., grant access to B Shifter, or our information is private for our own use? Can you guys speak to that?
Yeah, so the data mining stuff, I mean, where Eric's hitting on it a little bit, and anybody who, you know, would like to, you know, connect with that more, has questions on it, whatever, we'd be more than happy to spend some more time one-on-one with them, or do a, you know, a Zoom with them or something sometime. And then any video that you would have on there doesn't end up on our website at all. Everything else that is in there would be accessible to your organization, anybody who is with your fire department. And then obviously it's living on the B Shifter platform, and we have no intention of using anything that anybody puts in there for our use, unless they, you know, send it to us. No different than people send us audio right now that we would use for, you know, a podcast or something like that. So with that said, like, another fire department is not going to see what you're doing. Every 6 months, we do plan on doing like a state of Blue Card users report, which is just a big overview of how are all of the users who are entering data into the system doing, but it wouldn't be tied back or affiliated back to any one fire department. It'd just be a big picture view of how is everyone doing collectively together. And really, we want to look at that to see where is there somewhere that we need to improve on how we deliver the program. So
Did you have another slide or so to show, Eric? And we
Yeah,
are
let me-
live, so what we are I just wanted to point out the audio that we didn't hear isn't an issue with the program. It was just on our webinar. We couldn't hear the audio, but if you went back and did this right now, you'll be able to hear the audio of your own AAR. Also, if you have any questions, type them in the box. We have about 5 questions in the queue right now that we'll get to once Eric shares the screen with
I'll
us.
share one more just on that data mining that is live today that you'll be able to perform for your organization. So let me just share that with you, and then we'll go to questions. Can you see that screen, John? Is it popping up back to the dashboard?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so if you come up here, this is the B Shift Fire Department. These are all the calls that we've entered. If I click this little arrow glass next to it, I can export the report. It's going to open up in an Excel spreadsheet there. So I already have it pulled up to save some time. So let me share that with you when you pull it up. So the fire department, I'm sure you have folks in the organization that are really rehearsed at sorry, it's can you see that that screen now, JV?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so this is the Excel spreadsheet that that pops up. all you need to do is come in here and put apply filters to that call. When I apply filters, everything becomes accessible to start mining data out of the program. So everything is accessible from here. Let's just say I want to know on A shift, Battalion 1, A shift, I want to know how are we doing on fire. So I would come in here and I would select my filters, and I start to come down through Battalion 1 on A shift, fire in a building. So I want that. I want to be able to just know, let's just talk about residential fires. How are we doing? Okay, now I mine this data down even farther. Now I'm like, well, what about initial radar reports? Like, how are we doing on the individual reports themselves? I now come up here and I can see at a glance what our average is. And if I want to go look at a call, then I can take the CAD number, come back to the dashboard, and be able to drill down and listen to just this initial radar report on what we're doing. You can see here that there's a finalize tab. That's new, that we haven't been able to show before. True and false simply just means that it's finalized or not finalized. We have not finalized this call, so it's still in the works. So remember I said, well, let's talk about transfer commands. How many do we have? We have one of them in there, right under our test system. Well, if we start having 20 or 30 calls, you'll be able to start getting a trend from different shifts on how we're actually doing and where do we need to drive our improvement based on whatever filters you apply, type of calls, shifts, and response guide, response type, any of that, you'll be able to then mine the data out for your department. It's endless. It's an Excel spreadsheet, so I'm sure you guys are all familiar with those, and be able to figure out really how are we doing on the fire department. When I talked to you earlier about the dashboard and mining the data with those gauges, those will all be drill down types. And in the future, you'll click on the gauge. It'll bring you to a separate page with those calls, and you just start drilling down with click of a button right there within the program to get to that individual segment that you want to evaluate or listen to. So you and your own organization now will be able to find radio traffic that is good information, or I'm sorry, good radio traffic or bad radio traffic, and you will have examples at your fingertips to be able to provide training for your folks. So that's a nutshell with the program. I think we showed them a lot. I'm always open for webinars. I do Zoom meetings or team meetings. I do a couple a week right now with folks, just showing them the program or tips and tricks on splicing audio, whatever that is. We'll put our contact information up here at the end. Please reach out if you got ideas or suggestions, because I firmly believe we all do at B-Shifter that someone has a good idea out there, and we just have to vet it through and make sure that it fits the program. And a lot of the things that you saw today were suggestions or ideas from our customers, and that's why the program the way it is today. So.
All right, let's go to some questions while we have some time. We have about 5 or 6 minutes left and a few questions to get to. From Rob, does this program link with any of the RMS systems like ESO to avoid duplicate data entry?
Yeah, so right now it is not linking to anything, and basically it's just like any other system that if you link to one, then there's got to be another way to link to something else, and we're not interested in paying to connect to other people's stuff, and that becomes a problem because they have their own thing, so they're not all necessarily willing to send and share that stuff. And then there's how many ever that there are currently systems that people are using. So the short answer is no, we're not in that position right now that we're doing anything with that.
All right, next question. Andy, is there a way to add test fire and delete it altogether so the information will not affect your data of real fires?
Yeah, so when you're back to that dashboard page, I can just share my screen real quick again. When you're here and you want to test the system, you would just come up here, put in this test call, and you just hit this little delete button, and that will delete it. When we mine the data out, this finalize button was there, so none of the information will be in the future within the next 2 months. The finalize button is what will kick the call and the data over to the data mining section once it's finalized. But you can come in here, create test calls, play with the system, try to break it. When you're done with the call, just simply don't finalize it. Just come over here and click the trash can, and you'll be able to get rid of the call.
Very good. Bobby, is there any way to add benchmarks such as search, water on fire, etc.?
Yeah, so really, I think this aligns with the podcast that we just did with the good news reporting. Same kind of question. So, those things should be coming out as a status change. So within your organization, if you want, you want to hear water on the fire, which is a benchmark, then you would just communicate that water on the fire, and you could enter that in the whole can report part. Because if they're getting on the radio, I don't want to know just a little bit, but they could give me some other information. So the search, I got a primary search complete on the first floor. Well, that's going to come out in the form of a can report. So it would get entered there. So you could track that in the timeline. So any of those things that are objectives, golden nuggets, benchmarks, any of those things, you have an opportunity to do that. If it's a task location objective assignment, then you could track that back to a can report, really via a status change or priority traffic, depending on, if they find a victim. Obviously they should be communicating that anyway. And there's a very specific report for just victims, so that organizations can start to collect that data.
So real quick here, I'll share my screen again with that, because that comes up quite a bit. When you do that, just come over to the call, and you're going to see down here, you add a new report, and you're going to have status change other. So if your organization is the type that does want water on the fire or different benchmarks, you'd come in here, and Josh was talking about putting them under conditions, actions, whatever is being communicated there, you would simply select yes, and then you could type in for what you're trying to achieve. So status change the other tab to communicate that, because that's what your organization needs. So we try to build things in there not to be limited. You're just going to have to kind of know the system a little bit, and it's all there. And if something's not there, we can definitely look at putting there if you find some holes in the system.
Right. Vincent is asking, I assume the only one who has access to create an AAR in B Shifter is just the ones who have instructor access.
Yeah. So, our whole mindset with that is if you're going to evaluate on the information, that you should probably be the one most connected to it. So yes, the answer to that is that instructors are the people who have access and ability to enter and evaluate an incident through the AAR program.
All right. Scott asks, is this going to be available as a recording? Yes. Every time we do a webinar, it gets sent out as a recording. So today we had approximately 150 people on live to enjoy this live experience with us. That's so you can ask questions and interact. But immediately when these webinars are finished, you'll get a link to a video that you can share. And then also we'll put it up on our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube B Shifter, you'll be able to see our YouTube channel. We suggest that you subscribe. So every time we put something new up on our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it. And you can share that with whoever you want in your organization. Let's see here. I think that's about it. So I know there was a couple other things here on when you can use the AAR program. If you wanted to go through that in the last couple of slides.
So last couple of slides, just bring this together. Like we talk about improving performance on the fireground. How do we do that? Depending on your department, if you're the department that's very busy with working fires, you may just only do live fire events. But you can also do this in training drills at your training center. If you're doing command training and you don't have a lot of working fires, you may use it in the command training center setting, assessment center. The biggest thing is I said that, I didn't say that. Now you can record it, put it through the system, and truly evaluate your folks in a testing situation. So these are all different types of events that departments can use it, because we need to use this program frequently if we want to truly get some data on our folks on how they're doing performance-wise on the fireground. One of the things, this is a drop-down box when you select a call, so you'll be able to separate live fire events versus training events or command training center events. And what that's going to do is say, well, if we're doing really good in the training center, but we're not hitting the mark on live fire events, what's the disconnect? Why are we doing good in the training center but not in the fireground? So that's some ways that you can use the program. different modules that we'll be rolling out over the next few years as the system evolves is EMS calls, tech rescue, hazmat, ARF, dispatch. We're going to come up with an accreditation page. So there's a lot of different modules that you'll see released throughout the next few years to improve the system as we're constantly looking at ways to evaluate our performance based on the Blue Card system. The other thing that we're working on is a true full after action program to include different components. Hot wash component, a lot of departments have questions or don't know how to conduct a hot wash or don't have a form. So we'll do that. Component 2 is the audio review that we reviewed today. And component 3 will be a survey form that will get sent out to all of the officers on the scene. So that would be like your higher level call. Typically that takes a little while, and you'll probably call everybody down to a training center type for this. Everybody would fill out a survey form of what they did, what they saw, and a bunch of other questions, and then they would all get compiled into a big after action program of everybody that was involved in the call. So just some different things. When we talk about a true after action program, there'll be 3 different components moving forward. Before I say this slide, we thanked the small test group earlier in the beginning of the podcast, and there's a couple folks within Las Vegas Fire and Rescue that put a lot of time in computer-wise and helping this get off of the ground. And I think I wouldn't feel good if I didn't mention those. But Mike Willis and Dustin Schlin were they started this, the computer-wise. They knew some good ideas, how to make it look and work. And so that's kind of where it got its feet. And then we were able to get it into a bigger platform. So appreciate everybody from the beginning of this, when it was just an idea, to the full finished product that you're seeing today. We truly believe that this will help the fire service and the Blue Card family to truly monitoring and improving our performance on the fire ground. But we can't forget that if we're doing a good thing, hey, we need to let our folks know that we're doing a good job. And now we'll be able to have those key performance indicators to say that. So thank you, everybody that's helped. Here's my my email and phone number. Feel free to give me an email or a call. If you have any questions, ideas, please let me know. If you have trouble with the system, get frustrated, that's the time you need to reach out to us and see what's going on. And we'll walk through if it's a system problem or it's a training issue with the program. So please reach out, as we are constantly in function 7 with this after action program.
Josh, do you have any last words before we conclude our webinar today?
No, I just want to mirror really what Eric said. Like, if you're having some challenges with it, or you just want us to walk through it with you, we're more than happy to do that. Just reach out to us, and one of us will jump on with you and do a video Zoom, or if you want us to do something at one of your officers meetings. I've seen a few notes there from people saying, the command staff's not going to watch this entire thing, but is there something that we could do an overview? So anything that we can do like that to help you out, reach out to us, Eric or myself, or a few others that are continually working on this and constantly upgrading and modifying and improving the entire system for all about the work, the service delivery that we do. So, and all of you.
All right. Thank you very much, Eric. Great job on this. I know you and Chris and others and your team have worked very hard, and we're going to continue to see improvements as time goes along. And of course, the input that we get from the Blue Card users really helps us figure out where we're going to go next. So we appreciate all the input that we get from people, and all of our email addresses are on the screen. All right, folks, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to make this webinar. Again, that video will be sent to you so you can share it with other folks from your organization. We should have another webinar probably at if not at the end of 2024, at the beginning of 2025. Of course, we want you to every week check out the B Shifter Buck Slip. I'm going to put up a contact. If you're not getting that, stay connected through our podcasts that are out every Monday, and look for that new B Shifter site too that'll be up very shortly to share more information. Till we talk again, thank you very much. Be safe, and thanks for being here today with us.
Thanks, JV.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody.